From the outside, the Williams family looked like the very definition of godliness. Their home sat quietly at the corner of Maple Street, with a small sign that read, "Peace be still," hanging above the doorway. Pastor Williams was known throughout the town as a man of unwavering faith, gentle wisdom, and spotless reputation. His wife, Mrs. Williams, was the picture of grace and humility, always speaking softly, always ready to lend a helping hand. And their only daughter, Amanda, was their pride and joy, the kind of daughter every parent wished they had. She was the perfect example they gave whenever they preached about raising children in the way of the Lord. Amanda, with her soft voice, modest dresses, and angelic smile, had become the golden image of purity in the eyes of everyone who knew her. At home, she was gentle and obedient. She never raised her voice. She never argued. Whenever her mother called, she answered immediately. Every Sunday morning, she woke up before anyone else to prepare for church. Her father often used her as an example during sermons, saying things like, "Parents, train your children well. Look at my daughter Amanda, respectful, decent, and God-fearing." The congregation would turn to look at her where she sat in the front pew, dressed neatly in her choir uniform, and they would nod in admiration. She sang beautifully too, her voice soft and soothing like an angel's whisper. When she sang, people often closed their eyes and lifted their hands, feeling the presence of God. Amanda's reputation extended beyond their church. Neighbors admired her. Mothers told their daughters, "You see that pastor's child? Be like her." Even in school, before she left for the university, teachers praised her for her calm behavior. She never got into trouble. She never stayed out late. She always carried her Bible in her bag and quoted verses easily. To everyone, Amanda was a shining light, proof that holiness still existed among the youth. But beneath that quiet smile and angelic face, a different Amanda was waiting, one that no one could imagine. It started slowly, almost innocently. When she gained admission to the university in Lagos, her parents held a small send-off service for her. The church prayed for her success, and her father laid hands on her head, blessing her journey. Everyone in church gave gifts, notebooks, a new bag, some money, and Pastor Williams said proudly, "My daughter will make us proud. She will shine the light of Christ in her school." Amanda smiled and hugged them all, promising to make them proud. But as the bus carried her away from home that day, something inside her shifted. For the first time in her life, she was free, away from her father's strict eyes, her mother's constant monitoring, and the church's endless expectations. As she watched the scenery change through the window, she whispered to herself, "Finally." It was the first time she had ever spoken a word that didn't sound holy. The university was another world entirely. The noise, the freedom, the people, it all felt intoxicating. Her hostel was filled with young women who lived loud, carefree lives. They dressed boldly, laughed without restraint, and stayed out late at night. At first, Amanda was shocked. The first night, she heard loud music booming from a nearby room. She clutched her Bible tightly and prayed. But as days turned into weeks, she found herself drawn to that loud music, that laughter, that daring way of life she had never tasted. Her first real friend in school was a girl named Sandra, wild, confident, and unapologetically bold. Sandra had noticed Amanda's calm nature and decent dressing. "Pastor's daughter, ABI," she had teased one day, smiling with bright red lipstick. Amanda had laughed nervously. "Yes, my dad's a pastor." Sandra had looked her up and down and said, "Don't worry, we'll fix that." It started small, a little makeup here, a tighter dress there. Amanda told herself it was harmless, just trying to blend in. She began skipping morning devotions and replacing them with music blasting through her earpiece. She started using light perfume, wearing jeans, and taking pictures that showed a little more than her parents would ever approve of. Every time she went home for the holidays, she returned to her innocent self, dresses below the knee, scarf over her hair, soft voice, gentle smile. Her parents never suspected a thing. But in school, the transformation deepened. By her second semester, Amanda was barely recognizable from the girl who had left home months ago. Sandra introduced her to her first club night. Just come and see what it's like, she said. Amanda hesitated at first, but curiosity won. She told her parents she had a night fellowship and left dressed in borrowed clothes, a glittery top, short skirt, and heels she could barely walk in. When she entered the club, the lights, the sound, the crowd, it all swallowed her. She felt something awaken inside her that she had never known before. By the end of that night, she wasn't clutching her Bible. She was clutching a drink. Back home, her parents continued to praise her. Her mother often bragged to church members, "Amanda has never given us any trouble. She calls us every day. She even prays with us on the phone." They didn't know those calls were sometimes made from noisy club bathrooms, whispered quickly between laughs and cigarette smoke. The choir in church missed her voice, but every time she returned on holiday, she led songs again, sang with tears in her eyes, and everyone believed she was filled with the Spirit. They had no idea those tears were just part of her perfect act. Amanda became two people, the holy daughter at home and the wild one in school. In class, she started catching the attention of lecturers, not for her brilliance, but for her boldness. She realized quickly that grades in the university weren't always earned through books. Some were earned through charm and seduction. She learned how to smile just enough, how to dress to attract attention, how to get what she wanted without appearing desperate. Soon, she had everything: good grades, expensive clothes, and money that no one could trace. Whenever her father proudly said, "My daughter is doing so well, she's even top of her class," the church would clap and thank God, not knowing what she had traded for those grades. Her mother would smile with tears in her eyes, saying, "She's proof that God answers prayers." Amanda would lower her head, pretending to be humble, whispering, "To God be the glory," while her phone buzzed in her bag with messages from older men she called clients. At night, when she lay in her hostel bed after another wild outing, she would sometimes think about her parents and feel a sting of guilt. But then she would remember the life she was living. The attention, the thrill, the power, and the guilt would fade. She told herself she was just enjoying her youth. No one needed to know. After all, she still prayed sometimes, didn't she? She still called her parents and said, "God bless you." She still posted Bible verses on her WhatsApp status. So maybe she wasn't that bad. But the truth was that the two lives she lived were growing further apart. And somewhere in that growing distance, a shadow was forming, one that would soon expose everything she had worked so hard to hide. As months turned into years, Amanda's two worlds became completely separate, almost like two lives that had never met. In her hometown, she was still the pastor's daughter everyone respected, and in Lagos, she was someone entirely different: wild, daring, and dangerously confident. Her transformation was so deep that even her closest friends in school couldn't imagine her as the quiet church girl from home. To them, she was Mandy, the girl who could walk into any club and have every eye turned toward her, the girl who smoked with steady hands, laughed the loudest, and wore clothes that left nothing to imagination. Her soft, gentle tone had changed to a voice filled with authority and seduction. It was as if Amanda had discovered a version of herself she had been hiding all along, and now she was determined to live it fully. She didn't just attend parties. She became the center of them. Boys wanted her, girls envied her, and even older men chased after her. Her reputation grew fast, and soon she was known as one of those girls who always had money that didn't come from home. At first, it was just gifts from admirers, a phone here, a dress there. But Sandra, her bold roommate, opened her eyes to a bigger world. "Why settle for small gifts when there are men ready to pay for your time?" she asked one evening, painting her lips in front of a mirror. Amanda had laughed awkwardly, pretending to be shocked. But later that night, when Sandra returned with a wad of cash and new shoes, Amanda found herself thinking about it. The next week, she agreed to go out with the man Sandra introduced her to. He was older, wealthy, and generous. He took her to a fancy restaurant, bought her a gold bracelet, and at the end of the night, he didn't even have to ask. Amanda already knew what he wanted. That night marked a new beginning. She told herself it was just a one-time thing, that she was only doing it to survive. But the money, the luxury, the attention, it all became addictive. She started meeting more men, lecturers who promised her good grades, businessmen who wanted company, and politicians who liked to be seen with young, beautiful girls. Amanda learned how to play the game, how to act innocent, how to smile just enough, how to pretend she was different from the rest. She was smart, calculated, and confident. And soon, she wasn't just one of the girls, she was at the top. At home, her parents believed she was excelling academically. Pastor Williams even invited her to preach one Sunday during Youth Week. Amanda stood on the pulpit that day, her voice calm and full of conviction. As young people, we must resist temptation and live for Christ, she said, holding her Bible with trembling hands. The congregation clapped. Her father's eyes glistened with pride. But deep inside, she was battling a storm she could no longer control. As she looked around the church, she wondered what would happen if they knew the truth. If they knew that the night before, she had been in a hotel room with a married man twice her father's age. Each time she came home, she played her role perfectly. Her dresses were long, her face clean, her voice sweet. She attended choir practice, joined her parents for evening prayers, and posted pictures of Bible verses on Facebook. Neighbors greeted her with admiration, saying, "Pastor's daughter, you're a true example." Amanda would smile and say, "To God be the glory," but her heart had grown numb. In school, things only got darker. She began to bully other girls, especially the quiet, decent ones who reminded her of who she used to be. She mocked them, called them boring, and flaunted her expensive things in their faces. Her words carried weight on campus. Her beauty gave her power. Even lecturers feared her because she had dirt on some of them. She used people like chess pieces, manipulating everyone who came close. And yet, every Sunday evening, she would call her father and say, "Daddy, I just finished church." It was powerful. The lies flowed easily now. She had become a master at it. She even organized a campus fellowship for appearance's sake. Everyone thought she was deeply spiritual, a young woman holding on to her faith in a corrupt generation. Even her pastor father used her as an example during sermons. "You can be in the world, but not of the world," he said proudly. "Look at my daughter Amanda, in university, yet standing firm in faith." The church would clap, her mother would smile proudly, and Amanda would sit there pretending to wipe tears from her eyes. No one suspected the truth. But secrets have a way of slipping through cracks. One night, Amanda attended a birthday party for one of her lecturers. The event was wild: drinks, music, laughter, and luxury. Pictures were taken, and though she tried to avoid the cameras, one photo caught her sitting on the lap of a well-known lecturer, glass of wine in hand, her dress far too revealing. The photo went viral among students. But luckily for her, it didn't reach her family's town. She became the talk of the campus for a while, but she didn't care. She had learned to live above shame.